Good afternoon, I'm Vashan Brown with the Midday News. Special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. I remind as well that you can watch TVJ live by downloading our One Spot Media app in the Google Play Store or the App Store. That's the number 1, followed by the words Spot Media. The Meteorological Service has discontinued the flash flood watch for low-lying and flood-prone areas of Clarendon, Manchester, St. Elizabeth and Westmoreland. Satellite imagery and radar reports indicate a significant reduction in rainfall across the island through last night, with light showers across sections of southern parishes. The forecast is for isolated showers and thunderstorms, mainly across western parishes this afternoon. Meanwhile, a strengthening potential tropical cyclone is moving rapidly towards the southern Windward Islands. Weather forecasters are warning that it could become a tropical storm when it moves through the Windward Islands later tonight into tomorrow. A tropical storm warning is in effect for Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad and Tobago, and Grenada. Business activities are slowly coming back to normal at the Milk River Hotel and Spa in Clarendon after the area was again affected by flooding on Saturday. The Milk River overflowed its bank, making the road impassable and disrupting activities at the spa. Member of Parliament for Southwest Clarendon, Noel Arscott, says an early warning system alerting residents that the water was rising should have prompted an evacuation notice.
The long-term solution is to take out a S-bend that is in the river. There's an S-curve in the river below the bath which causes a restriction. And when we're in government, we know we did a drawing to cut across so that when there is excessive water, it would continue straight along and into the sea. So I think that if we cut through that area, it would significantly facilitate a freer movement of the river directly to the sea.
In the meantime, Mr. Arscott is reiterating calls for the drainage system in the parish to be upgraded.
Southwest Clarendon, we virtually take all the water from elsewhere. The Rio Minnow ends up this side, the Milk River ends up this side, and everywhere in the surrounding area. So we are really in a desperate situation, and I'm appealing to the government to give some priority attention. We need a major scheme like the Sandy Gully scheme. In fact, it was started some years ago in Havana Heights, and it never continued. So we have the Fleming's Gully, the St. Anne's Gully, the Milk River, the Rio Minnow, and all the major gullies that passes through this constituency.
In Manchester, little boys this afternoon happy to be alive after escaping floodwaters in the Berrydale area of Porus. A section of the Porus main road in Manchester was impassable on Saturday due to rising floodwaters. A taxi operator in the area recalls the incident.
The rainfall actually, I pan up the sun in green pan. When it run over, I come down here, so it's not a pretty sight, me I tell you. All vehicles stop. All in place, the water it cover it. You see the bridge where I like right now, the bridge, you couldn't see it yesterday, like part you couldn't see it. The water is wicked. A little youth step off right there, so and him like, go out of the cold, but go out of see him back. Till I run so he come back, everybody think him dead. Me I tell him, he's a hero, just God save him still.
And in the wake of the weekend rains which caused flooding in sections of the island, the National Works Agency, NWA, will be intensifying its drain cleaning program. In an interview with our news center last night, NWA Communications Manager Stephen Shaw said this will include revisiting drains island-wide that were cleaned under the pre-hurricane mitigation program. Mr. Shaw said some drains need to be cleaned again given the intensity of rains since April.
The pre-hurricane mitigation program targeted roughly 192 drains around the island. We had to do a little bit of shifting as a result of the rains between May 13 and 18. But we have now the program that we usually implement just about when the season is getting underway, and that's what we are now going to be turning our attention to in short order.
On to other news now. A woman was fatally shot and her 11-year-old daughter shot and injured while sleeping in their one-bedroom house in Reach, Portland over the weekend. The woman's 4-year-old son, who was in the house at the time, was not hurt. Reports indicated that the woman, who is said to be a higgler, was at home sleeping with her children when a lone gunman entered the one-bedroom dwelling and shot her. The gunman also shot her daughter in the ankle before leaving. The woman was pronounced dead and her daughter rushed to hospital. This brings to 3 the number of people killed in Portland so far this year. The Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, says its members are becoming increasingly concerned about the worsening crime problem in Western Jamaica. JHTA President Omar Robinson is warning that the violence could affect Jamaica's tourism brand.
Safety and security is an important element of any destination, especially one that is focused on tourism. Therefore, any increase in crime and violence will be a major concern for all our tourism players, as it can impact us twofold. One, the negatively impacting the image of the destination and ultimately visitor arrivals. Two, it impacts the safety of our workers who. Some of these people come from these troubled communities where criminal activities are. As a result, our employees are fearful, especially when they leave work late evenings and have to go home. Sometimes we have had to rearrange their work schedules so, they could leave earlier.
In the meantime, the JHTA will be seeking a meeting with the Police Commissioner George Quayle to discuss the crime situation.
We are going to reach out to him and, we plan to advise him of our concerns on how this sensitive issue can impact our industry. What we would like to see is the comprehensive crime fighting measures being implemented as quickly as possible. There just needs to be sustained efforts. We'd like adequate resources to be given to our security forces to deal with crime, in a more sustained and forceful way.
With the news that the worsening global refugee crisis will result in more displaced persons heading to the Caribbean, data indicate that Jamaica has not been providing a haven for these individuals. According to the Economic and Social Survey Jamaica 2016, no applications for refugee status were approved in the island during the year. It showed that 21 Cubans applied for asylum in Jamaica during the year. The UN says Trinidad and Tobago has recorded 400 new applications for refugee status since the start of the year. Now, this is a 40% increase from last year. The Twin Island Republic was listed as the 3rd most popular country in the region, behind Belize and the Dominican Republic, where asylum was being sought by refugees from a number of countries. These include Colombia, Venezuela, Cuba, Haiti, Syria, and Pakistan. And the document shows that 3,474 Commonwealth citizens in Jamaica were granted extensions beyond 6 months during 2016. This represented a 5% decrease when compared with the 3,660 in 2015. There was also a 5.2% decline in the number of non-Commonwealth citizens who were granted extension of stay. It fell from 8,058 to 7,639 in 2016. And the councillor for the Lawrence Tavern Division, John Myers, is this afternoon seeking to clarify recent comments he reportedly made about extortionists. It had been reported that Mr. Myers suggested that the Kingston and St. Andrew Corporation, KCMC, used the collection skills of extortionists to make markets profitable. He denied making the statement.
You're losing $5 million a month out of the market district. You're losing 10 million, 15 million a year out of the market district. They wanted to go somewhere else to do the, see if they can collect and to use other part of the KCAC to really collect more to cover that loss. So I asked the question, do you know where the money is going? They say yes. I said, then who will take the money? They say the extortionists. I say, you sure? Them say yes. Me say, you sure 3 times? They say yes. Me say, then bring them in and talk to them.
He adds that he will be asking the KCMC to seek assistance from outsiders to do an investigation. Motorists traveling on the east-west leg of Highway 2000 could be faced with another toll hike. The operators of the highway are seeking a 10% increase effective July 1. Transport Minister Mike Henry says this is the annual rate review application. However, no decision has been made on the matter.
The toll regulator must advise me if the application is within the legal terms of the loan. I then must put that to the public, listen to the public, and then meet with the toll operators to arrive at the final toll that will be charged. So I'm carrying that out because if indeed the application follows the legal process by which the loan was made, and I do not make the decision or put it out in the press and get the approval, then we are of course likely to be paid, have it paid by the government, which is what I'm preventing.
International news now. Police took down an armed man after a car intentionally rammed into a van this morning in central Paris, France. The small white car caught fire after the collision, killing the driver. The Paris prosecutor's office has opened an anti-terror investigation into the incident.
Melissa Bell joins us right now for some details on what we're seeing in the Champs-Élysées. A police mobile unit rammed by a vehicle. Melissa, what can you tell us?
Well, it's been within the last hour, John. This really has just happened here on the Champs-Élysées. Perhaps you can see just behind my shoulder down there, the bottom half of the Champs-Élysées leading towards the Concorde is the part that's been cordoned off, John. What we can see down there is one car that's been stopped in the middle of that police cordon, a white car that's been covered in the sort of material you spray on cars to put them out. And across the road, a man on the ground, and he's been there for the last hour. I could clearly see him when I was down there earlier on. Now, what the police have confirmed to us is that that car did try to ram into a police truck. No news yet, though, John, on whether this was a deliberate, intentional attack on the part of the man driving the car or not. Clearly, a massive police presence, however, down there. The cordon has been growing really by the minute, with onlookers being pushed further and further back. And just to provide a bit of context, it was right here, of course, that just a few weeks ago, back in April, security forces were once again targeted. A police truck was targeted by a man who sadly took the life of one policeman. No word yet on whether this is that sort of incident or not, John.
And we're still overseas. At least 79 people are dead or missing and presumed dead following the fire that tore through a 24-story tower in London. However, 5 people who were originally reported as missing have since been found safe and well. The UK Press Association reported that 17 people are still being treated in London hospitals. Of that number, 9 remained in critical care. We go now to sports. Newly reappointed interim national cycling coach Carlton Simmons says he will be targeting grassroots development as he seeks to improve the sport in the country. Here's TVJ's Jordan Fort.
Simmons will serve in his second stint as coach after recently being appointed by interim president Dennis Chung, who replaced Kirk Finnegan at the elections held at the end of last month. His vision? Get youngsters involved in the sport from the grassroots level.
The main focus will have to be grassroots, because if you're thinking about longevity of the sport, it has to be grassroots. So we have to target the 13-year-olds up to 16 to create a program around that, and to matriculate that into the system to move forward.
One of the exciting young talents Simmons will be trying to develop is Brandon Reed, who has already started working with the man who has been guiding Jamaica's top cyclist Marlo Rodman.
I'm Simmons. I've been working for like a week now, and I'm showing fast improvement in my fitness and so forth, and the power in my legs and so forth. So Marlo alone out there, sometimes, I watch Marlo and seeing that when he goes overseas, I can see like the other countries kind of like, gang him in a sense, So I'll really like to go there to help him and to uplift the country in the sport.
And interim President Chung fully endorses Simmons' plan.
Cycling is a sport where the foundation has to be at the youth level. If you don't have it, it's very difficult to get there because of the development, the physical development and the nutritional development that it needs. So the fact that Carlton is looking at the youth level and will be going more into even the younger levels to try and get the talent, it bodes well for cycling in the future.
Chung also says the Federation has identified and are in talks over land which can be used for a new velodrome, a welcome sign for Simmons.
Well, that's something that I'm looking forward to, because that's part of the whole development plan and program. Because without a new velodrome, it won't happen. because what we have now is antiquated. I mean, when you go to an international track program, you are going on a 333-meter track or a 250-meter track, where the adaptation of that will take a while. And I mean, to have our athletes preparing and not used to surfaces like those will create a challenge, and it eventually will cost us more, because it costs us a lot to travel to prepare. When if we have our own velodrome, we can actually stay home and train.
Jordan Fort, TVJ Sports.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the news, sports and production teams, have a good afternoon.